Um, wish to welcome you to this session where we shall be talking about the time value of money and to know the time value of money is very important in a project because here what we need to know is you might be operating a project that require money from commercial banks. You might be operating a project that require you to borrow money. When you borrow money, you need to consider the time value of money. Financial institutions, they will also request some charges into a project. They will impose to you. And also for you, you shall be responsible to pay. And this will be your interest rates. So you will be responsible to pay maybe the so-called monthly installments to cover the time value of money. Because money is being eroded by inflation. It's being eroded with the purchasing power. So all those kind of things are very important for us to consider when we talk about the time value of money in a project. When you're about to construct road, you will maybe you're about to construct a road that will take about 500 kilometers. You may borrow money from external financial institutions. You may borrow money from other countries. Well, they will give you, some countries, they will give you a 2%. Other countries, they give you 5%. Other countries, they will give you maybe 15%. So you need to consider the issue of time value of money. This is very much linked to those projects that are related with profit-making projects. But when you look at those projects that has elements of non-profit making, you will realize at the end of the day, when they get into the question of sustainability, they will also need to consider some new projects of business lines, or maybe the so-called profit-making project. Now, when they engage into that, it may involve themselves to borrow money from financial institution. And if they borrow money from financial institution, then they are compelled to understand the time value of money. Look here, if I take 1,000 Tanzanian shillings today, this one, you can see this one, this is 1,000, is much more worth today than tomorrow or next week. Because the same value of money will be eroded by inflation, will be eroded by inflation, with inflation. And also, it's going to be eroded with the purchasing power, because the purchasing power will not be constant. Price of tomato today is not the same as the price of tomato tomorrow. So you need to know. You need to know it's being affected. So because of that, it involves the time value of money. In our project, we have the cash flow. And this cash flow, you will realize it has some cost, it has some benefits. Now, our cost and benefits in the project are spreading out throughout the period. And this period, it can be 1 year, it can be a month, it can be 2 months, it can be 1 year project, it can be 3 years project, it can be 5 years project, it can be 10 years. Now, all this will depend with what type of project you are doing. And therefore, all these costs and benefits in the project. It means here between there is time. There is time. Now, with this time, you need to know with a given period of time, you must take into account the time value of money. The time value of money, it is very significant to consider to any manager who is managing a project. And remember, you will need to control your interest rates. So before you go and borrow money from commercial banks, remember, they will charge you interest rates. They will charge you interest rates. And at the end of the month, you will be compelled to pay the principal plus the interest rate in order to cover that one. So you will realize there is time value of money. And for banks, they will be interested to charge you interest. And you as a project, as a company, you will be compelled to pay to the banks. That's what I said, the principal plus interest rates. You'll be compelled to pay. And therefore, here between, you need to know, you as a project manager, you are compelled with the issue of time value of money. What I would say in a nutshell, this is just overview, that projects and financial proposal are characterized by costs and benefits. But as I said, they are spreading out over time. As a result, it is not possible to assess such proposal by simply adding up the costs and benefits to determine the net gain or loss in the project. And therefore, what you need to know is within this, there is time value of money for you to consider. And therefore, money has a time value. So it is necessary to allow for the timing of the different costs and benefits in taking decision. That's very important for you to consider. This time value of money reflects the ability of money to earn interest over time. And also, time value of money is the idea that money that is available at present time is worth more than the same amount in the future due to its potential earning capacity. So you need to know the earning capacity of the money. It is important to understand the time value of money invested in a project over time, especially when the project involves the borrowed fund. Government borrow money. NGOs, some NGOs, they borrow money in order to run their operating activities, especially if they are going into new projects. You see, even the faith-based organizations, some faith-based organizations, they may borrow money to construct schools, universities, and so on. So when they borrow, Now they're involving the financial institutions. At the end of the day, they need to consider the time value of money. Outside that, they may fail to operate. They may fail. They may fail to operate. So time value of money is very important consideration in our projects. As I said earlier, a shilling received today is worth more than a shilling to be received in the future. This is very important statement. I repeat again, you should know, a shilling received today is worth more than a shilling to be received in the future, as it can be invested to earn interest over time. If someone gives you money today and is not charging you any interest rates, you are lucky. And you should go for investment with it, especially if it is a non-profit making project. Please, that is not the scope we are discussing. But the scope here is for profit making projects. A preference for money today rather than money in the future is likely to be rationalized, not only in terms of the interest foregone, but also in terms of uncertainties associated with the receipts of future cash flow, and also possibility of fall in purchasing power of money due to inflation. And therefore, what you need to take note is the interest rates foregone, is the uncertainties, is the receipts of future cash flow, and also inflation that may affect the operation of the investments or the project. And therefore, for us, we say this is very significant point. In order for us to understand much about the time value of money, what you may need to do is let's go and discuss about the compound interest rates. This is your ending amount at a point in time in the future. It should be worth more than the present value, provided it is earning interest and growing over time. And this sometimes can be expressed in the form of future value. So in order for us to go and understand about the future value, let's get deeper in the class now and look at how we can compute the future value. The future value can be computed as follows. Let me show you the formula. Let me show you the formula. Let me share with you the formula for future value. Future value. Let me share with you here. Let me share with you here. It's like that. Now, what you will have when you are talking about the future value, the compound interest rate, it's given by that formula right there. You see that? You see that formula there? Where you have Vn is equal to VO 1 plus R power N. Everybody have seen that? Sorry, everybody have seen that? But what is VO? This is the initial capital. The initial capital. The initial capital. What is Vn? Is the future value. Okay, and what is the R? R is the interest rates. And what is 1 plus R power N is the interest rate or the future value factor for N years. So the N is number of years and R is the interest rates there. So again, what we will have, for example, determine the equivalent value at the end of year 7 of 1,000 Tanzanian shillings today if the rate of interest is 8%. So what you have today, this one, this is the amount you have, 1,000 is the VO, and what is the R? This is the interest rates, 8%, have seen that? This one right here. And what is the interest rates? 7. Oh, it's 8. Is it 7 or 8? Is it 7 or 8? Now, the interest rate is 8%. Now, what you see here, because the interest rate is 8%, but number of years is 7. When you compute that one, it will give you the total is 1,714. This is what you have. Have you seen that? Have you seen that one? So the interest rate is 8%, this one, that's R, and number of years is 7, and therefore the present value is the VO, this one is 1,000, and the VN is how much at year 7 is 1,714. Therefore, 1,000, if 1,000 is invested today for 7 years at an interest rate of 8%, will produce the sum of 1,714 Tanzanian shillings. So you see that, you see that one right here. What you see is this one right here, 1,714. Now, let's go to the practice question. When you go to the practice question, what is the equivalent value at the end of year 8 of 3,000 expected at the end of year 5 if the interest rate is 5%? So you can practice yourself and get the answer. Another question. The population of Matejo in Arusha is 160,000 and has been growing at a percentage of 20% per annum. 20% per annum. What will be the size of population if this rate of growth is sustained for the next 5 years? So you can also see that one and compute that one for practice. Now, that was the future value. We were trying to predict the future value. Let's look at present value. This is your current starting amount, as indicated there, you see, as indicated there. This is your current starting amount. It is the money you have in your hand at the present time, your initial investment for your future. That is very significant for us to know. It's very important for us to know. And then what we say here, various costs and benefits of projects occurring at the different points in time can be expressed in terms of their value today, their present values. Now, to derive the present value simply require the reversal of the compound process, just like the way we did there. Now, you know the VO, that is the sum of money available today. That is your present value. That is your present value, the VO. So you take the reverse of what we were discussing earlier, and that is the formula you will have to use. So in here, you will have interest rate, you will have the VO, as I said earlier, this is the sum of money available today. That is the total amount we require. The VN is equal to VN, okay, value in years, that is the future value. And also 1 plus R. R is our interest rate. And also N is number of years, Now, so it is important to know that the discount rate may be interpreted as opportunity cost of funds in the project. So that is also another element. So what you may do, because as I said earlier here, that when we compute the present value, it is a reverse of future value computation. So what you see from there, you see a formula that is a reverse of the so-called the future value. And you may compute the future value by looking at VO is equal to VN over 1 plus R power raised by or power N. This is equal to, in other words, it can be expressed as VN 1 over 1 plus R power N. That is how we compute the present value. So there is no much miracle. So just like the way we did in the other compound interest rate, the present, the future value. So the reverse of it is the present value. Now, find the present value of 250 payable in 3 years' time if the rate of discount is 8 per annum. So find the present value. What is the present value for that one? And also another activity, you have 1,000 available today to invest for 20 years. And the annual interest rate is 8%. The interest payments are to be reinvested also at the rate of 8%. How much will you have available 20 years from now? You see? So you can compute that one. Also, a cash flow of 3,000 is anticipated in 30 years from now. What is the present value of this sum given the prevailing interest rate of 8%? So you can also do the activity for yourself. So we use time value of money in the project because we are sensitive. Our cost and our benefits are affected with interest rates. They are being affected with the purchasing power. They are being affected with the receipts that we are going to get. We are being affected with the inflation. And therefore, for us to take consideration for the time value of money in the project is significant. At this time, We will not go deeper into the so-called annuities and other computation, because it will be another session, another module, another subject to discuss about those ones, especially when we talk about financial management. You can get that one in detail. But this is a guidance. As a project manager, you need to know that there are some factors for your consideration when you compute this one, especially when you consider about the time value of money. That money, a shilling today is much worth than a shilling tomorrow. So whenever you are being involved on shillings, your mindset should be tuned to that direction. And especially when you consider for profit making projects, profit making projects, those are the consideration. Those are consideration. It is unlike non-profit making or the public. They might not, but there are some policy within the government also that when you borrow money from government institutions, they will have to charge you some interest rates. Why? Because of the time value of money. That was just an overview in the project. But for us, again, we will go deeper when we discuss about that. May I wish you the best. Then we meet another session. Thank you.